Hi, I'm Madalina Vlasceanu, an NYU postdoctoral fellow and incoming assistant professor of psychology. And in this talk, I'll present a project conducted in collaboration with Momennejad and Dudik at Microsoft Research on the network structure, gender diversity, and interdisciplinarity of AI organizations. Our project was born from the observation that AI research is at the forefront of society, impacting all aspects of human life. From face recognition algorithms aiding national security in airports, to job search algorithms and software that advises judges in criminal cases and medical staff in healthcare, AI research is shaping most facets of our experience in the world. Recently, there's been a surge of interest in questioning the assumptions, decisions, and motivations underlying AI. For instance, in her new book, The Atlas of AI, Kate Crawford urges the questioning of widely deployed algorithms to understand the implications of what is being optimized, for whom, and who gets to decide. Similarly, sociology professor Judy Wackman argues that the characteristics of Silicon Valley's programmers, who are becoming even younger, more masculine, and more fully committed to working all hours, are mirrored in the algorithms they produce, with profound implications for many. Building on this work, here we're interested in uncovering the features of influential AI researchers and organizations. To do so, we are employing social network analysis, a tool for mapping the structural composition of a community, instrumental in identifying and predicting the spread of ideas, practices, and behaviors throughout a community. As any other complex system, social networks are usually analyzed in the framework of graph theory. Within this context, the degree of influence of a community has been shown to be captured by betweenness centrality. Betweenness centrality indicates the extent to which a person is positioned on the shortest path between other pairs of people in the network. A person with high betweenness centrality is the most able to control the flow of information through the network, acting as a bridge between disconnected people, which is why it's been suggested to signify power. Given this meaningful parallel, here we will use betweenness centrality as a proxy for influence in the AI community. A fundamental property of network structures is the degree of hierarchy. The more hierarchical a network structure is, the fewer lateral connections it features. Most commercial companies and government agencies follow a hierarchical topology. Hierarchical structures are known for their slow information flow, but strong authority connections. In organizations, hierarchical structures have been found to create power imbalances, decrease team members' identification with the team, and impact collective performance. Therefore, here we're interested in understanding how hierarchical influential AI organizations are. Another network structure property is degree of clustering. Network clustering refers to the degree to which a network is arranged into distinctive, densely connected cliques. Quantitatively, this is the probability of any two nodes that are connected to the same node are connected themselves. This property of a network has significant implications for the speed and degree of spread of social influence through the network, such that influence spreads faster and further through more clustered communities compared to less clustered communities. Here we're interested in how clustered AI organizations are. The next network structure property of interest is the diversity of the members of the network. Diversity refers to differences between individuals of any attributes that may lead to the perception that another person is different from the self. Increased diversity in organizations have been found to improve decision-making through increased creativity and innovation. Conversely, other studies have found that diversity negatively impacts team performance. Therefore, here we're interested in uncovering the role of diversity in AI organizations. Lastly, interdisciplinarity has been proposed to constitute a critical dimension in AI, given its potential to make AI more accessible, inclusive, and trustworthy. More importantly, interdisciplinarity has been shown to contribute to one's influence in the scientific community. Therefore, here we're also interested in exploring whether more interdisciplinary AI-based organizations are more influential in the AI community. We first hypothesized that influence in the AI community is predicted by the network topology, gender diversity, and interdisciplinarity. Our second hypothesis is that women have less influence in the AI community. To investigate, we scraped 5 years of NeurIPS, 2 years of FACT, and 3 years of AIS proceedings metadata. In total, we collected information from over 9,000 authors at 149 organizations. Here's a histogram of the 15 organizations with most authors featured in this dataset. Using the co-authorship links between the authors, we created a sparse JCC matrix to map the connectivity of this community, which we used to compute the betweenness centrality of each author as the extent to which a node was positioned on the shortest path between other pairs of nodes in a network. We also used this connectivity matrix to compute the clustering coefficient for each organization, which measures the degree to which nodes on a graph tend to cluster together, and the hierarchical coefficient of each organization, which captures the degree of hierarchy in a complex network. We also computed the gender diversity of each organization as the ratio of researchers with traditionally feminine to masculine first names, as assigned by GenderGuessr, an open source algorithm inferring gender from first names. GenderGuessr's training data comprises over 45,000 names with gender assignments unknown, androgynous, male, female, mostly male, or mostly female. The gender assignment of this collection is presumed to be of high quality with manual checks by native speakers of various countries. Applied to our data, we have identified over 54% of the names with high degree of confidence, and we only included these data points in the analysis. To infer organizational interdisciplinarity, we used the optimized topic model GSDMM, a variant of LDA specialized for short texts, to compute the probability of each title reflecting on one of the topics inferred by the model based on all titles. Using these probabilities, we computed the entropy of each title and the entropy of topics of each organization, which we used in our analysis as a measure of interdisciplinarity. So remember, our first hypothesis was that influence in the AI community is predicted by the network topology, gender diversity, and interdisciplinarity. We ran a linear regression model predicting the average betweenness centrality of organizations as a function of the gender diversity, interdisciplinarity, hierarchical and clustering coefficients, while controlling for organizational type and organizational size, and found that organizations with high betweenness centrality authors are more gender diverse, more interdisciplinary, more hierarchical, and less clustered. Our second hypothesis was that women have lower betweenness centrality in AI co-authorship networks. In an independent sample comparison, we found that authors with traditionally masculine first names have higher betweenness centrality than authors with traditionally feminine first names. The finding that gender diversity is valuable to organizations is consistent with previous research suggesting that workforce diversity is essential for sustained competitive advantage, as it increases creativity and innovation. This result is also consistent with recent work suggesting the positive role of diversity in higher academia by showing that law reviews curated by diverse editors reach more citations. Also aligning with prior work, the result that diverse individuals are marginalized in AI co-authorship networks is consistent with prior work reporting structural and social inequalities in scientific publications. This finding also aligns with work reporting that men are preferentially cited in academic journals. The fact that women are consistently marginalized broadly in the scientific sphere is highly concerning, given overwhelming amounts of evidence showing that increasing the number of women in a team increases the team's collective performance, especially in scientific research. Beyond optimizing performance, increasing gender diversity, especially in AI, is a crucial step to increasing societal fairness. The finding that organizations with high betweenness centrality authors tend to be more interdisciplinary also confirms prior work showing that betweenness centrality is an indicator of interdisciplinarity in scientific journals, and that interdisciplinary publications achieve more citations. Our finding also provides additional support for the notion that interdisciplinarity constitutes a critical dimension in AI research, especially when achieved by integrating ethics principles in machine learning. Indeed, a growing number of scholars are urging researchers to incorporate such principles into their work. Our study is not without limitations, however, which can act as motivations for future work. First, our research relies on correlational analysis, which cannot speak to the causal direction of these uncovered relationships. future experimental work is needed to understand the causal mechanisms behind these connections. Moreover, we acknowledge that our method does not capture directionality of the mapped connections, such as the power relationships between authors. Future work could increase the complexity of the model by adding features of the author, such as citation counts. Also in this study, we explore correlates of gender diversity in AI organizations, but in future work, we're interested in also investigating other dimensions contributing to diversity, such as racial and educational backgrounds. A limitation of this work is the gender classification of the authors based on first names. The field would benefit from future work attempting to achieve a classification as close as possible to self-reports. And finally, here we restricted our analyses to only a few machine learning conference proceedings, given practical limitations such as available metadata. This investigation could, however, be extended to include additional AI conferences for a more representative network of AI researchers. And with that, I would like to thank my collaborators, Ida and Miro. Thank you for listening, and I'm now looking forward to your questions. Thank you.